Well, greetings, everybody. It's Patty here. Well, I came across this very, interesting article from the Event Chronicle. This really blew my mind when I read it. Mainstream media now advocating all, see this word? All citizens spend time in prison as service to country. Okay, this came out on July 7th, 2017. Okay, excuse me. And this article is by Claire Bernish. Corporate media achieved a new level of absurdity last week when Jesse Ball, writing for the LA Times, suggested every American be required to spend. I can't get through this with laughing because this is so absurd. Anyways, okay. That every American be required to spend a stint behind bars every 10 years as a veritable guarantee to improve conditions of incarceration in the United States. In the piece titled, "Everyone should go to jail, say, once every 10 years, Ball writes, a notable demand that is made upon the citizens of the United States of America is that of jury duty. Although many despise, hate, and avoid it, there is a general sense that the task is necessary. We believe a society is only just if everyone shares in the apportionment of guilt." Wow, this article blows my mind. Okay, to this demand of jury duty, I would like to add another, and in the same spirit. I propose that all citizens of the United States of America should serve a brief sentence of incarceration in our maximum security penitentiaries. I'm so sorry, but this is crazy. This is crazy shit here. Okay? This service, which would occur for each person once in a decade, would help ensure the quality of life within our prisons is sufficient for keeping of human beings. Now, how do they figure that? How is this service going to ensure the quality of life in prisons? You force people to spend, an indefinite period, innocent people, to jail in maximum security. Well, you know what? I don't think they're going to cooperate. I mean, they're going to say the same thing everybody else does in jail. Okay, the food's terrible, not fit for human consumption. It's all Monsanto GMO bullshit. So this story is horseshit. But it's here. This service, which would occur for each person once in a decade, would help ensure the quality of life within our prisons is sufficient for keeping human beings. Well, I wish they would explain how they would ensure that quality of life. Anyway, they can't, because this is nonsense. And here it is. Without foreknowledge on length of stay and other details, citizens would languish behind the same bars as convicted criminals under Ball's proposal. I say Ball should be the first to incarcerate himself, since it was his idea. Send him for an indefinite period of time, behind bars, languishing with convicted criminals. See if he changes his mind. Albeit in a section separated from offenders, assumedly not to confuse jailers and inmates, or endanger anyone serving, incarceration duty. That's what it's called. Kind of like jury duty, but it's incarceration duty. Well, only in the United States, eh? But Ball misses the point. Obviously. I'm sorry. This is funny. Feeding the elephant in the room of over-criminalization of daily life, excessive laws, and, worst by far of all, the normalization of incarceration as conditional to the American way of life. Wow. I can't believe what I'm reading. Lecturing all of us to walk a mile in the shoes of the convicted, rather than declaring the brazen failures of the injustice system evidence enough itself for dismantling the whole dysfunctional mess. After all, according to the Prison Policy Institute, the United States now cages like animals, put in cages, some 2.3 million of its roughly 326.5 million total people, the largest per capita incarcerated persons of any nation on the entire planet. An interplanetary traveler would logically conclude it is a prison nation. That's right. The United States Corporation is a prison nation. Or at least one astonishingly rife with thugs, murderers, thieves, and politicians. And worse. No, politicians need to be put in there. Even the more law and order authoritarian among us could see the flaws evident in a system claiming freedom, while locking away proportionally more than even the dictatorial fascist regimes our troops putatively combat. While undoubtedly posited from a place of compassion, I wouldn't exactly call it compassion, as a plea for ethics in imprisonment, Ball's somewhat tongue-in-cheek proposal unfortunately evinces the frequency with which band-aids are applied to fix a gaping as a fix for gaping structural flaws which should otherwise condemn the system to demolishment. But worst of all, it gets worse. But worst of all, this proposition capriciously normalizes the American incarceration state. Consider how those 2.3 million souls wound up stuffed into the cramped confines of the nation's myriad federal, state, and local facilities, or worse, judging by the voluminous body of anecdotal accounts. One of the altogether notorious prisons for profit, that's right, every prison is a business, okay? It's a business. You know, I'll give an example. Prisons are given a certain amount of money to feed people. Okay? This I know. But it doesn't go for the food. It goes into the pockets of the jailers, the judges, the employees. They are taking home in their wallets the inmates' right to decent food. It's not Monsanto. Okay. Alright, onwards. Managed by private corporations, intent only on thrift in housing, its human commodities. There you go. To save the state some pennies. Most of the convicted behind bars have committed non-violent crime, but moralizing on personal vice and legislation and acted sanctimoniously against substances having exploded the nation's prison population to alarming proportions. And you know there's a lot of people in jail who are innocent. Okay. A court or jury decision of guilt in no way can be characterized on par with laws governing ethics and human rights. For, if a candid observation of inmate records were ventured, a sweeping sum could be said to have landed in prison by violating the state's prohibition on the cannabis plant. Well, you know what, guys? Some states, cannabis is legal. Anyways. And not violently so. Forgetting for a moment, the law is the law. To describe a society as just, which chooses to not only cement unjust ideas into law, but imprison violators of aberrant legislation, particularly in cases of medicinal use, must be the pinnacle of hypocritical pomposity, if not the telltale heart of a dying empire. Sure, forcing on penalty of prison. you don't do prison duty, then you're going to be committing a crime and you're going to go to jail anyway. Okay, yet more behind bars to prove how base the conditions behind bars might actually assist the vocal calling to improve conditions behind bars. Now, I'm not real familiar with it, but I have been told that the food is not food. And what I was told, this was months ago, was that they gave, what's she say now? Let me remember, hold on. I know they had these, she said they had these trays with like, I don't know, 4 or 5 little compartments. And she told me that there was only one small spoonful of each, whatever they were eating, on the tray. And that they would still be hungry. She would still be hungry afterwards. But I think there was like a 6 or 7 hour wait between meals. So I was told that they actually starve people in jail. Alright? I'm going to do some research on that. Maybe, write to my, local jail and become a pen pal to somebody. We'll see. Okay, so anyways, sure, forcing on penalty of prison, yet more behind bars to prove how the conditions behind bars might actually assist the vocal calling to improve conditions behind bars. Let's put it this way. The state does not want to improve conditions behind bars because that would cost them money, and they would rather pay their employees bonuses and, take... Anyways, you get my point. But if so many have been locked up there for reasons only justifiable for the violation interned in the print of legal tomes, the plan is an exercise in pure futility. Unless it simply normalizes prison life as a veritable inevitability, might as well prepare for the eventuality some offensive chunk of life will be wasted, rotting between the torrid walls of a prison cell. The irony, palpable. Okay. No, we do not need to send the relatively innocent to prison to endure tortuously foul food. Yeah, my friend was right. And varying degrees of inhospitability to prove locking people in cages does nothing to curb crime. Indeed, the opposite is arguably true. It's the system broken, not people's compassion. Juries convict based on flawed evidence omitted by technicality, and an embarrassing list of other inexcusable conditions accumulated on the books over centuries. And more laws and regulations, find their way to the ledger every day. They're creating additional ways to make you a criminal. I'm going to say that again. They're creating additional ways to make you, me, everybody else, a criminal. So in that sense, Ball might be onto something. Yeah, he's on drugs. Get ready for prison, dear young people. By the time you're an adult, there won't be a thing you can do without someone breaking the law. The writer unintentionally asserts between the lines. I wonder, Ball continues, once all you citizens of the United States are passing in and out of prison on a regular basis, will the conditions there not seem singularly urgent? Just picture congressmen, priests, stock traders, truck drivers, people of every faith, color, description, politicians, all for once sharing in something. Yeah. Well, let's start with the crookedness. Let's see. Bush, Obama, Clinton, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, okay, J.P. Morgan. Let's just throw the Queen right in there too, okay? And not to offend anybody, but let's throw the Pope in there too. Alright? Put all those guys in jail for whatever and see what they can do about the conditions. Because they've committed crimes. Okay. Dummies. Sharing in the memory of peering out from... Sharing the memory, yeah. Okay. Of peering out from inside prison walls isn't conducive to solving the issues of mass incarceration. Scrapping unjust, unethical, amoral, and otherwise ludicrous laws governing every conceivable aspect of daily life, however, is. Okie dokie. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? You know mine. What do you think about mainstream media advocating all citizens spend time in prison as service to country? It's called prison duty, like jury duty. And if you don't show up, you'll be arrested. Anyways, please comment what you think about this. And thank you for watching. Until next time, have a great day.